assault on Isaac, leaving him to ponder the reason. A whole mob is attempting to eliminate an infant. Isaac is enraged, having just liberated the infernal entity, only to have this ungrateful wretch try to extinguish his life. He unleashes his genuine form, that of an archfiend, instilling profound dread within the demon. The beast is stunned to find itself before the sovereign of skeletons. Moments later, the lad releases his magical essence, radiating intensely, amazing the emperor and his retinue. Each luminous pulse overwhelms even the fiend, compelling it to retreat with terrified shrieks. The hellish creature absconded, but all present bore witness to genuine divine might in action. The sentinels are incredulous that the young lord vanquished a superior demon. They esteem him greatly. Meanwhile, our ferocious little destroyer is utterly bewildered by his ability to wield sacred energy. He is genuinely perplexed by his current predicament. The celestial energy dissipates, but there's a surprising turn. His present physical form enables him to transmute his inherent magical reserves, transformed into divine energy, a predicament that deeply unsettles him. This transformation renders him incapable of accumulating any shadow essence. The realization dawns upon him. The sacred realm is devoid of shadow essence. The high priest is apprehended. Despite his vehement protestations and accusations of heresy against the boy, he denounces the young lord as a demonic entity, and even proposes an exorcism for the sake of the sovereign. However, the ruler has grown weary of the cleric's incessant pronouncements. Thus far, his sole contribution has been to brand a mere child a heretic, while he himself unleashed a formidable infernal being upon the royal guard. The emperor addresses the situation with an unwavering voice, asserting that the high priest will face severe repercussions for his acts of treason. This portends grave consequences for him and his faction, as the emperor draws nearer to uncovering the truth regarding their infiltrator. The high priest dreads the inevitable damage to the sanctity of the hallowed cities. Thus, he surreptitiously endeavors to conjure an incantation, offering his own life as a sacrifice for his kin. The high priest unleashes a potent magical creature, now relentlessly focused on fulfilling its purpose. Eliminate the prospective saint at any cost. The beast bares its fangs at the small infant, who appears utterly unfazed by the threat. That this elderly gentleman revealed his true nature. Initially, he's supremely confident in his ability to effortlessly defeat this young foe. But then it strikes Isaac that this fellow has exhausted his magical reserves. Mere moments ago, all hope seemed lost, until the creature is subjected to a formidable assault from another magic wielder. This silver-haired gentleman arrives with a thirst for retribution, intent on punishing those who dared to harm Joshua's offspring. It's the devoted Asher and his knight squad, loyal servants of House Joshua. Rely, the commander of this unit and the boy's uncle, demands the bishop's immediate apprehension. Meanwhile, the infant Isaac remains completely unperturbed. Rely then directs his men to promptly pay their homage to the newest addition to their lineage. Joshua's son offers his apologies to his infant sibling, and even Isaac is impressed by his candid demeanor. As compensation for their tardiness, they've arrived with a gift. Isaac spots a glimmering object and becomes elated at the prospect of gold. However, it's merely a statuette of the Skeleton King, being decapitated. Essentially, he's receiving mementos foreshadowing his own demise. It's a jarring experience, because these individuals possess a plethora of Skeleton King figurines, perishing in various gruesome manners, being incinerated alive, or even ground to dust. There's an abundance of them. While they admire the child's reaction, he's internally experiencing panic attacks. The realization dawns on him that he must endure the remainder of his days in the company of these eccentric individuals. Evidently, the young harbinger of doom isn't pleased with this trajectory. He distinctly recollects the events of his own downfall. The Saintess endeavored to vanquish him, the trio accountable for his downfall. All belong to the ill-fated Joshua clan, the very lineage he now finds himself a part of. Envision being reborn into your adversary's family. Talk about a cruel twist of fate. He's likely fuming right now. As he contemplates his abysmal fortune, the bishop bellows at the Joshua family, denouncing them as nothing but vile heretics, responsible for spawning a monstrous being. The ancient codger has dedicated his existence to exposing Isaac's true nature. He vows to personally eradicate the Joshuas, but enough of his incessant ranting. Rely, weary of the charade, swiftly severs the bishop's throat, cautioning him that it was solely by their family's grace that he was spared a fatal blow. Isaac is immensely gratified to have such a formidable force at his disposal. He contemplates whether Rely, with sufficient inducement, would defy the Sanctus Sedes in due course. Meanwhile, the knights, they're showering him with genuine care and respect. The irony is, he recalls clashing with several members of the Joshua clan and recognizes their formidable strength. His own subordinates were filled with dread at the prospect of confronting Joshua the Blue, for instance. Yet this fellow proved to be an eccentric, possessing peculiar statuettes of the skeletal monarch. The emperor is grateful for Riley's favor in this circumstance and wishes to present a once-in-a-lifetime proposition. The emperor desires to raise Isaac among the royal lineage, a notion that fills Isaac with delight. The emperor's motive stems from his awareness of the internal and external adversaries of the sacred empire that will inevitably set their sights on the young heir. Thus, the circumstances necessitate this action. While the Joshuas are dependable and potent, there's no guarantee they can adequately safeguard the child. Isaac is slightly bewildered and struggles to grasp the situation. Intriguingly, Isaac possesses the same hair hue as the progenitor of the Holy Empire. This appears to be a matter of considerable importance. Furthermore, they suspect the Skeleton King is covertly targeting the infant as well. Such a notion is utterly preposterous, given that Isaac is the Skeleton King himself. However, they remain blissfully unaware of this fact. Rely unequivocally asserts that this child is a scion of the Joshua clan. Consequently, they will rear him accordingly. He remains indifferent if it's the pontiff or the sovereign of bones pursuing them. The Joshuas wield ample power to quell any menace. Saintess Melissa, a member of their lineage, actually yearns to confront the Skeleton King. They cannot simply relinquish her direct progeny to the imperial household. The mere utterance of Melissa instills profound dread within him. Isaac recollects her as his ultimate adversary in the celestial sphere. She was the most formidable opponent he had ever encountered. Let us further compound the Skeleton King's woes. Not only was he birthed into the bloodline of his nemesis, but he is also her immediate descendant, of the single woman who thoroughly trounced him repeatedly. At this juncture, he's genuinely perplexed about the unfolding situation. Let's briefly revisit the past and clarify the true significance of a saintess. Having suffered numerous defeats at the hands of the Skeleton King, the populace resolved to create saintesses, nurturing them into paramount instruments of warfare. Their purpose was to eradicate evil, wielding the radiant power of holy light magic, and holding the most esteemed position among the empire's knights. The saintesses' might instilled the belief that the Skeleton King's demise was imminent. They possessed extraordinary physical prowess, an unyielding will to survive, and the capacity to grow perpetually stronger. However, the Skeleton King was utterly merciless. He relentlessly slaughtered saintesses without hesitation, never truly extinguishing their lives, but inflicting sufficient harm to incapacitate them. The Skeleton King was cognizant that the divine energy of the saintesses invariably ascended to the deities upon their demise. This facilitated the genesis of even more formidable, advanced saintesses in their stead. Now, let's delve into the tale of Melissa, the ultimate saintess he confronted. She proved to be the most potent adversary he had ever encountered, pushing him to the brink of death. And now, this formidable woman is revealed to be his progenitor. What a twist! Riley posits that the saintesses exist solely to vanquish the Skeleton King. Furthermore, the Joshua lineage is the exclusive bloodline capable of engendering them. Their paramount mission is to overcome those who obstruct the divine path. Numerous saintesses have forfeited their lives merely by challenging the Skeleton King, despite him never slaying them. It's revealed that Isaac once confined a saintess within a labyrinth. Ironically, his aim was to liberate her, but she was utterly inept at navigation. 5 holy women perished from sheer vexation, foregoing medical attention for their wounds. Riley consoles the youngster assuring him of their unwavering protection, even if he bears a curse. However, in truth, Isaac is internally seething, bearing the brunt of the suffering. Riley desires a singular purpose for the child, to ensure he becomes anything but the skeletal monarch. The irony is almost unbearable, given that this is the infantile version of their very nemesis. Isaac expresses remorse for shattering his parents' aspirations by merely existing. The sovereign urges Riley to employ logic, reminding him that the skeletal sovereign was vanquished over a century ago. Thus, Isaac discovers his reincarnation into a distant future, liberating him from the dread of Melissa. Since then, the demonic overlord continued to flourish. The Emperor counters, asserting that Isaac's abilities hold paramount importance for the royal lineage, surpassing all else in value. The sovereign emphasizes the complete absence of any priestesses from the Joshua lineage currently in service. A year has transpired since Isaac's birth, only to have his parents vanish without a trace. They essentially abandoned their child. Isaac has been bombarded with 8 astonishing revelations today. Discovering his mother's position as the family's high priestess only exacerbates the situation. He believes he's doomed. Recall this fool's presumption of Melissa's demise? It appears the tenacious Saintess also remains among the living, and she's still a force to be reckoned with. The guy's utterly astounded by her 2-century lifespan. He's experiencing a throbbing headache. Even the Emperor is taken aback by the child's distress. Isaac believes his life is truly in ruins. If his nemesis is alive and thriving, he's going to be utterly destroyed the moment she exposes his true identity. In his skeletal state, he's hardly interested in a romantic entanglement at his age. Thus, he resorts to his sole remaining tactic. Isaac opts for the royal lineage. Such adorable charm radiates from him that even he's captivated. Riley attempts to manipulate the situation and asserts that Isaac is merely exhibiting amicable behavior. However, the sovereign remains resolute in his desire to nurture him as his own offspring. As members of the regal bloodline, they possess a plethora of advantages to bestow upon the child. The Joshua clan is renowned for its holy women, yet they lack practical experience in rearing saints. The lad is destined to evolve into a demonic entity banisher. Hence, Riley contends that the Joshuas are better suited to his potential. They are literally yanking a 1-year-old in opposite directions. They're squabbling like immature individuals, while Isaac is on the verge of being offered as a sacrifice in this comical spectacle. The fellow is literally clinging precariously and desperately desires to integrate into the imperial household. To ensure his survival, he firmly believes the Emperor offers the most promising prospect, as he provides the greatest assurance of his survival. Thus, the lad turns to the Emperor and reaffirms his choice. In the ensuing scene, the irksome bishop appears before his congregation, still adamant that the boy is affiliated with the Demon King. His superiors are vexed upon hearing his complaints. They simply cannot fathom the preposterous notion that luminous energy was channeled through a demonic offspring. The bishop cites the utilization of mana, claiming he witnessed it firsthand. However, the sanctimonious assembly has already reached a verdict. They promptly decapitate him, deeming it retribution for his sacrilegious pronouncements. The commander displays no inclination to lead an assault force, convinced that the Emperor will seize Isaac regardless. Subsequently, they will have ample opportunities to eliminate the boy. This time, they will ensure his demise is personal. In the meantime, Isaac discovers he has been taken in by the Joshua clan. Let's summarize the preceding events. A few days prior, a radiant shaft of light captivated their attention, while Riley unexpectedly relinquished her claim on their offspring, declaring it an unsuitable environment for Isaac's upbringing. Furthermore, it's within this very place that he uncovers a shocking truth the Joshua clan possesses: the skeletal remains of the deceased skeleton king. His cherished physical form has been pilfered, a revelation arriving far too late. Abruptly, Isaac grasps Relly's digit, altering his course of action. Now his objective shifts to aligning himself with the Joshua lineage. His endearing grin captivates his elder sibling, leading to an alliance with the Tay Joshua household. This partnership, a deviation from the royal bloodline, isn't ideal, as he finds himself conscripted into military service. His sole purpose, to reclaim his former corporeal form. His prior body, imbued with magical energies, possessed power rivaling that of deities. Should he succeed in its retrieval, he will once again ascend to supremacy. Moreover, he's never witnessed such a potent yearning for survival radiate with such intensity. emanating from Riley. This implies he's receiving indications that aligning with the Joshua family might significantly improve his odds of survival. However, questions linger concerning the Pope's forces' explicit pursuit of Isaac, a matter he himself remains entirely oblivious to. It appears a divine prophecy was recently bestowed, foretelling a saint's ascension to divine parentage. This suggests Isaac is poised to inherit the papal mantle, an ominous portent for the Barrett lineage. This unforeseen turn of events has caught the Skeleton King completely off guard. The Pope is regarded as the most formidable cleric, the sole individual capable of wielding 10th-tier holy incantations. His standing is equivalent to that of a monarch, commanding a personal legion of sacred knights. His influence rivals that of the emperor himself. For countless generations, the Barrett family has supplied the papacy, explaining their utter frenzy at the prospect of a Joshua family saint usurping their position. Abruptly, the carriage driver arrives to notify Relly of an obstacle they've encountered. A particular assembly of individuals is barring entry to the duchy. Infuriated, Relly berates them for their failure to acknowledge the Joshua family crest. This vile faction is revealed to be truly malevolent and wicked. Their mission, to eradicate the Sainus' offspring by any means necessary. Isaac is utterly blindsided by this unforeseen twist in his life and wonders aloud what in the hell is wrong with the new Demon King. The demonic legion forewarns them of their formidable sovereign's command to execute saints and saintesses immediately upon encounter. This validates his suspicions. A new monarch has overthrown the Skeleton King's prior directives. Hence, their imperative to assassinate the saint without exception. Unbeknownst to them, their target is their very own demon lord, a relic of the past. They offer to grant them reprieve in exchange for the child's surrender. But in response, Relly unleashes a devastating thunderbolt, reducing one to cinders. Enraged by their audacity to utter such words to a Joshua exorcist, brandishing his weapon, Relly proclaims, "The Joshua lineage shall know no peace until all malevolent entities are purged from this realm." He and his comrades draw their blades, poised to banish the infernal creatures back to the abyss. Meanwhile, the Skeleton King, Relay, finds amusement in the notion of his spectral minions attempting to usurp his corporeal form. The Demon King's monstrous legion endeavors to strike them down, incited to ensure the young lord's well-being. Isaac is escorted from the fray by a guardian. He's perplexed by the recent events. If he is indeed the Skeleton King, then who is this impostor masquerading as him? Isaac is concealed within a thicket, shielded by an enchantment. The ward is so formidable that even high-ranking demons cannot breach it. Isaac is relieved that his safety is assured, but it also signifies his confinement. Thus, he endeavors to rectify this by invoking his arcane abilities. Unleash. The lad transcends into the cosmos, akin to a celestial prodigy, and summons the entity that observes this infernal being. A spectral figure materializes, seemingly to acknowledge its liege, but Isaac silences it, preventing any disruption. The apparition is